I'm going to tell you, it's been a very, very rough week to be a Patriots fan. For obvious reasons, there's Tom Brady, there's what's next. On top of that, you have all the defensive players that have left, from Kyle Van Noy, which I absolutely love him. So to see him leave really sucked. Jamie Collins, and among a few others. Thankfully, we have the McCourty twins. Those guys out there on the field together is it's so fun to watch. Well, then all the other stuff going on. I mean, thankfully we've kept some of the good players, but we're releasing others. On the plus side, we've got tons of draft picks, and hopefully, hopefully we can do something with that. I've been a Patriots fan since I was a child, and I mean, 5'4", whenever I could understand what football really was. And, saw the Patriots lose to the Packers. Congrats to Brett Favre on that Super Bowl win. Too bad Drew Bledsoe couldn't get it. But then, I've obviously been around for all the other 9 Super Bowls they've been through and, won 6 of those. It sucks seeing Tom Brady leave. That's the big part of this video here is everything else sucks. It's all piling up. But a lot of those guys, as much as it hurts to see some of them like Kyle Van Noy leave, we've got draft picks. I'm sure Bill Belichick has some tricks up his sleeve. He always does. He can always find some no-name player, whether it's Chris Hogan or whoever else lacrosse player is Chris Hogan. He at one point was a lacrosse player. And, this guy that didn't have any good stats in the NFL, then all of a sudden he, is stellar in a couple of games and is a key player for a couple of seasons, and then, trades him off when Belichick doesn't feel he needs him anymore. And so Belichick has some tricks up his sleeve, I'm sure, but it still sucks. However, back to Tom Brady, TB12. I understand why he left. He had an amazing 20-year career in New England. And so as a Patriot, I mean, he's got nothing left to prove. He's done, everything that he possibly could up there. With that being said, there's a huge debate out there. Does Bill Belichick deserve all the credit for New England's success, or does Tom Brady? And, now we finally have that chance to see. Because if you look prior to the duo, 249 wins, the winningest coach-quarterback duo in NFL history. I mean, that's immaculate there. But if you look prior, Tom Brady, he had to fight every game for his starting position at Michigan. There was no solid Tom Brady's the starter. He had to fight and fight and fight for that number one position. And so some games he would start, some games he wouldn't, and the games that he wouldn't, most times they ended up bringing him in, and they would win or, at least come close to winning if they were too far behind because the previous starting quarterback. And so, he had a pretty good college career, but nothing stellar. His combine sucked. We all saw that. And then he ended up getting drafted 199th, and I believe he was New England's 4th-string quarterback at one point. So, starting his NFL career, or prior to starting it, there's really not a whole lot to say this man's going to be great or anything else. But when you look at Bill Belichick prior to him and Tom Brady, he was with the Browns, had a horrible record there, just was not good, no success. Then again, there's something with the Browns organization. It's got to be cursed. I mean, it's still sucks. But anyways, and then Belichick had that one-day career with the New York Jets, and that's a nasty little blemish there, right? But he was literally handed a championship team when he took over New England. And so then he had Drew Bledsoe, which already led the team to 1 Super Bowl. Sure, they lost, but I'm going to blame that on the coach that they had. And so then with Belichick, he already had a championship team. So then when Bledsoe went out in that first game after 9/11 in 2001, he went out with that punctured lung and I think broken rib and a couple other things. I can't remember what all else happened with that medical report. But anyways, so then the Tom Brady took over, and that's that. We all know the story since. It's really hard to say, who's better because you have no previous evidence to say that one really helped the other. Because Belichick's previous coaching jobs, it's not great, but then again, neither was Brady's college career. It wasn't perfect. Sure, he won a championship, beat Alabama when he was at Michigan, but still wasn't a Heisman or anything crazy like that. So, now we finally have this chance. Now, my personal opinion, I think it's 50-50. You got Belichick, obviously he's the coach. He's got to put together a game plan. He's got to get a good coaching staff. He's a great defensive mind, and so he pretty much puts together a defense. And then you've got Brady, who he's the guy on the field. He's the captain. He's the one that everybody looks up to. They see the way he works. Gets up at 4 a.m, hits the gym at 5. He's very particular with the food that he puts in his body and what he drinks and so on and so forth. And so you got two great minds there that you can't. When they come together, I mean, they're just immaculate. Now, how will they do apart? I'll be honest, I don't think New England's going to be doing very well this season. I think it's going to be 7-9 at worst. 8-8 is what I'm predicting. At best, 9-8. So a pretty average season. It's not going to be anything spectacular. I don't think they're going to win the AFC East. As much as it kills me to say this, I hate to say this, but I think I'm going to have to shoot myself in the foot here because this is painful. I think the Buffalo Bills will be the AFC East champs this year. And I hate to say that, but out of the other three teams, I don't want the Jets or the Dolphins. I would prefer Patriots, but I'm going to give it to the Bills. As much as I hate to say it, there you are, Bills fans. As far as Tom Brady, he's obviously going to Tampa Bay. Out of the 31 other teams he could have been to besides New England, I would have been fine with him going to 28 or 29 of those. But Tampa Bay, I absolutely cannot stand the fact that he's going to Tampa Bay. Hats off to him for coming across a deal that works for him. I definitely respect that. I think he'll do well. But I don't think he's going to have the same success that he had in New England. I want him to win another Super Bowl. I will support him. I prefer that Super Bowl to be with New England. I definitely do not want it with Tampa. And as far as Tampa's record, I'm going to say 9-7. That's kind of where I'm thinking. They have potential, but trying to get it all to click, it's kind of like the Browns. Everybody said that they're going to do great, in this last season here, starting in 2019, and they didn't. They might have had the talent, but they didn't have the chemistry. They didn't have a good coaching plan. The quarterback, he might have some talent, but where's the leadership? I might get trashed for saying that, but whatever. Point is, I'm not a fan of Tampa. I'm not a fan of Brady going to Tampa, but I'm going to support him. Not going to support the team, but I'm going to support him. So if they win, good for him. Good job. But honestly, I don't think their first season apart, I don't think either one of them is really going to set themselves apart from the other. So I think what's going to happen is they're both going to look pretty average this year. And then I think next year, I don't think either one of them will set each other apart, but I think Bill Belichick will look a little bit better because he controls the whole team. Brady controls the offense. So I think now Brady does have a lot of influence. So maybe Tampa Bay will take into consideration, everything inside of Tom Brady's mind that he's willing to spill. So there's that, but also the NFC is a much tougher division than the AFC. As far as I said division, I meant league. The NFC league is much more competitive than the AFC's league. But either way, as far as the divisions, he's in a tough division playing against New Orleans. But honestly, if I had my pick, I would have told, if Brady couldn't stay, I would have preferred him to go to somewhere like Arizona, I mean, look at their receiving core now. They've got a stellar receiving core. Absolutely love Larry Fitzgerald. I think the Cardinals organization is great. They've got an awesome stadium. I know there's going to be a lot of people that hate me for this next comment, but if you put Brady inside of a dome, I don't think Drew Brees will hold all the records he holds. Granted, his career was mostly in a dome. And so I think you put Brady in a dome, I don't think there's a question on who's better there. With Brady still playing in an open-air stadium like he did in Gillette and then Tampa Stadium, I just don't think he's going to have as good of success. And also, if you look, Brady's stats, I mean, in an open-air stadium in the cold weather, he is immaculate. I mean, look at his December stats. That right there, his December stats in Foxborough, in the cold, I mean, they're just immaculate. So I hope that he can carry that into Tampa Bay with a warmer stadium. But I don't know. He's much better in the cold air. So, that who knows? Maybe that'll help him, and maybe the warmer weather will also help his longevity. To kind of sum it all up, I think this is going to be obviously a tough week here, but I think it's going to be a tough season for New England. And I think next year Bill Belichick will have enough in the arsenal to bring New England back and fight for the AFC East Championship, go to the playoffs, and contend for more championships. Whereas I don't think Tampa Bay will do it. I think Brady will look more average. And, going back to my comment earlier about who deserves it, it's really tough to say. I'm going to say 50-50 because Belichick, he's the brains of the organization, but Brady's the brains and respect of the offense on the field. And if, obviously you have to have a great defense because great defenses can win championships. We saw that a couple years ago with the Rams and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. It was an extremely low-scoring, pretty offensively boring game. But when you look at it from a defensive perspective, it was fantastic. Now, it was pretty boring overall, but defensively it was great. And so you need a great defense. I don't think Tampa Bay will be able to compete with New Orleans like New England will be able to compete with the Bills. So honestly, I think Belichick's going to win this. I don't think it's going to tarnish Brady's career. But I don't think Brady will look as good being in a Tampa Bay setting as he would in New England or, Kansas City, Green Bay, San Francisco, or even New Orleans. If he were to play in any of those other teams, I think he would be better off. And I think his career would look better as he's wrapping it up rather than going to somewhere like Tampa Bay or, he's not going to Cleveland. But if he were to go to Cleveland or Cincinnati, something like that, I think one of those teams would more tarnish his career because he won't end it on top. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does win another Super Bowl, and I hope he retires on top with 7 Super Bowls. But we'll see. But anyways, Patriots fans, let me know what you think down below. I know it's pretty tough. I've had 24 hours to think on it, and it's tough. It's painful. I don't like it. I wanted TB12 to stay with us, but it is what it is. I respect him, and good luck to Tom Brady, and let's go Patriots.